like to remind all of our listeners that the opinions of individual shows or DJs do not necessarily reflect those of NBR Radio. Please keep in mind this is entertainment and intended for the listener with a sense of humor.
Portions of this program may not be suitable for those under the age of 18. Parental guidance is suggested.
The Beer30 Show with Danny and Joel, sponsored by Tee It Up for the Troops. Divots can be replaced, freedom cannot.
Alrighty. Beer30 is when you walk into a bar or a VFW, and in that 30 seconds, you can already tell.
That guy right there is drunk, that guy's an idiot, and that guy down there knows it all.
There are programs out there beyond the VA.
Many non-profit organizations. The Beer30 Show.
It's the Beer30 Show. Made by veterans.
For veterans.
Hey everybody, thank you for staying tuned. And we are back. And with us today, special guest. I think I'm doing pretty good not butchering the name. Dustin Roby, he's the vice president of Outdoor Buddies, and today he's going to give us some insight on what the organization is about and what it does for our military and their caregivers. So, welcome to the show, Dustin. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Doing good?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, thank you. It's a beautiful day here in Denver, Colorado.
Awesome. Yeah, I know, right? For the last 3 days, I've been wearing shorts, and I'm getting a little spoiled, I think, because it hasn't had that last snow, if you know what I mean. So I'm waiting in torture, hoping that it doesn't snow. But me and you both know, usually there's one big snowstorm before the summer hits, but maybe we might be lucky.
Yeah, we got to have one last hurrah before the nice weather comes.
Right. So, Dustin, I'm going to go ahead and give you a stage and just tell us a little bit about Outdoor Buddies. And of course, you just mentioned it's based out of Colorado, because you're in Colorado. And how do you help?
Yeah, thank you. We, in Outdoor Buddies, we were founded in 1984 by a gentleman by the name of Sid Sellers. He worked for, at that point in time, the Colorado Division of Wildlife as a hunter safety instructor. And Mr. Sellers found a need for those that have been deprived of the outdoors due to maybe an accident, a tragedy. Obviously I'm a veteran myself, but going to war and having something happen there too, that there wasn't a program available here in Colorado for those that are in need, and hence Outdoor Buddies. We take out anybody that's disabled, or as we like to say, mobility disabled, veterans, anybody that is disabled and has been deprived of the outdoors. We try and get them back into the outdoors, or get them into the outdoors to experience it for the first time. Our primary focus is that of, as you know, here in Colorado, the great big game hunting that we have. Also, it could include rafting, it could include fishing, could include photography, anything that our members like to do. We help get them back in the outdoors. We're an all-volunteer organization. Nobody's paid. Nobody on the staff, including myself as the vice president, the executive director, any of our board members, nobody's paid, and it's pretty neat. So all of our fundraising goes directly back to the organization and getting those in need back in the outdoors.
That's awesome, especially when you say that, nobody gets paid, because most nonprofits have that admin cost. And after our producer investigates most of the nonprofits that we bring on the show, that's one thing that kind of takes them away from the guidelines to being on the show, is because they intake more money than they do giving out to the soldiers because of admin costs or whatnot. So that's very awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing this. What branch of the service uh, were you, if you don't mind me asking that? Because I don't think you said, and if you did, I apologize.
No, I don't mind you asking. I was in the Army. I was in OIF in 2003, 4, and 6 myself. I'm actually medically retired. Staff sergeant was my rank, and
Okay.
Colorado is where I called home and moved back to Colorado.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm originally from Indiana and I kind of got stuck here in Colorado, which it's not a bad place to get stuck, but I retired out of Fort Carson. So, what was your last duty station?
I was at Fort Lewis. I was a 13 Fox, a Fort Observer.
Oh, uh, Danny, you was at Fort Lewis, wasn't you?
I was at Fort Lewis in 2005 before I got deployed down to Gitmo.
Right.
Fort Lewis isn't a bad place. Yeah, I was there in
No.
2005 myself. So
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was stationed in Bremerton, Washington for my last duty station, out there at the Naval Hospital, Bremerton. Um, but
right.
yeah, I remember Fort Lewis. It's not that difficult of a base. It's just pretty big.
Yeah, it is very big. I was at Fort Bragg, which is even bigger.
Mm.
I was in the 82nd prior to Fort Lewis. So
So I guess I got the next question, but you were talking about helping veterans to get outdoors and everything. What happens if a disabled veteran's wife kidnaps them and refuses to let them go out, but they really want to go out? What do you guys do on those situations?
well, usually in those situations, I'll have to talk my wife into taking his wife out for nails, get their nails done, or lunch or something like that.
Oh,
So
there you go. There you
a
go.
lot of times, though, a lot of times the spouse comes with us too. So
Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah, that is.
yeah.
Well, my wife done kidnapped me. Um, I'm joking. My wife's Navy as well. She's still active duty, so she's out here. We're out here in Jacksonville right now. That wasn't actually the question I was supposed to ask. I was just trying to be a little humorous. Joel actually let me talk for once, so um,
There you go.
there we go.
Well, I gotta keep you on a narrow path because Danny is one of those guys that just he has such a big ego. You give him the floor, he'll take 2 hours. He loves to talk about himself. He just can't write about himself.
Yeah, it's kind of
Well, you got
funny.
to take the stage when you got the stage.
Yeah, but like Joel said, I'm not one about like bragging about myself on paper, but I'll brag about all my accomplishments otherwise in stories. I've never gotten the correlation of how to put it on paper, but I mean, I can't exactly put down,
That's all
oh,
veterans, isn't
I think so. So,
it?
um, you already asked your funds question that I was supposed to do, so I'm going to head to my number 4 question, Joel. Um,
Okay.
could you tell us about your youth program that you guys have?
Yeah. So with what we do for a lot of our hunts and a lot of um, veteran, more veteran-centric hunts, we'll work with the Warrior Transition Battalions, especially out of Fort Carson, those that have been disabled. That's who we work with on the veteran side. The youth side, we work with churches, mission groups. Um, I personally worked with a gentleman by the name of Stetson Bardfield. He's a 15-year-old, I should say young man that due to some birth defects lost both of his limbs. And these youths will come to us or they'll come from the Division of Wildlife or the Colorado Parks and Wildlife as they are called now. And at-risk youth kids too. I'm a coach, so I see a lot of the kids and just getting them outdoors. And nowadays, let's face it, guys that are 30 years old, a lot of them don't want to get back in the outdoors, and so we'll take them out and teach them the right way. And if they don't have a parent that can do so,
And doesn't there's a lot of military listeners that listen to us, and I bet you anything that one of the questions that they would want us to ask is with a lot of nonprofits, there's guidelines on how in how injured you are. And we're battling this stereotype of if you don't have a visual injury, if it's a PTSD or TBI, well, then you're not really injured. Uh, so that's one of the stereotypes that we're battling as soldiers today is the basically the invisible wounds. And a lot of nonprofits have the visual wounds on trips and not the uh, non-visual. So to be on one of your trips, what are the guidelines? Do you just have to have a percentage with the VA, or how does that work?
No, we don't have a specific guideline percentage-wise for disability rating with the VA. Obviously, if we're going on a big game hunt, you got to be able to safely handle a firearm or a weapon. Completely understand the invisible wounds, and as long as we can safely take you out or whomever out, take the soldier, take whomever it is out that can handle a firearm safely, that's our guideline. We've taken out amputees to high quadriplegics even. So we have helpers that help, or a lot of times the veteran has a caretaker that comes with him, and as long as the firearm can be handled safely, that's our number one concern, is safety of not only us but the veteran or the member that's out on the hunt. We also work with another nonprofit called Warriors on Cataract that I will be on a rafting trip from May 6th through the 10th with soldiers that are suffering from PTSD. And
Okay.
we will be rafting from essentially Moab to Lake Powell. So there's multiple different ways, even if it isn't a hunt. Maybe it's, like I said, going out and going rafting, going out to just get in the outdoors, just get back out and use our equipment, our action track wheelchairs, if mobility is a concern. But to answer your question, it's as long as we can handle a firearm safely, that's our guideline. There isn't, it must be 30% or anything like that some of these other nonprofits have.
So for somebody like Joel, you'd have to give him a Nerf gun. Am I correct?
You got it. A bow and arrow.
There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome that you answered that question, because that was one of the other questions that me and Danny wanted to know is, what the trips consist of, and you told us, you have rafting, you have the handling a gun, going hunting, duck hunting or whatever, and fishing. I'm assuming fishing. And
Absolutely.
that's great. And the key point about what's so great about this nonprofit is you're getting us out of the house. And with one that has PTSD like myself, I tell you, I don't know why, but it's very tough for us to get out of the house. We have that plan on getting out of the house, and then we think of excuses on why we can't get out of the house, or why we don't want to put that effort fighting through traffic, or something like that. So it's great that there's a group like you guys that help the hunting and the fishing hobbyist, as you will, or as you are, because I know that there people people say, well, there's like 6 or 7 organizations like this. And I always tell them that, that's a good thing, because, 10 soldiers didn't get hurt. Over 300,000 soldiers got hurt. So you being able to take on some soldiers and another group being able to take on some soldiers, that really helps, especially with economic how it is these days, it's tough to get around.
It is, and you brought up a couple key points that I'd like to talk about here. Is we take these guys out hunting or fishing or rafting, but it's never about the harvest. It's never about the harvest of an animal. It's always about the camaraderie. It's always about getting back into the outdoors and, let's be honest, just kind of telling stories, having a good time. But you're back in the outdoors, and for those veterans out there like myself, it's the camaraderie is what it's about. It's not about the harvest of the animal. It's about being out in the outdoors with your friends, having a good time again, not finding an excuse why I'm not getting back out, not finding that excuse, well, I have something else to do. I want to go out there and I want to be a part of the outdoor buddies, and I want to have fun with these guys. It never is about the harvest. It's about the camaraderie.
Right. Awesome. Danny, I asked like 3 questions, so I'll go ahead and let you. I keep on stepping on Danny today for some reason. I apologize, bro.
Today, really? Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, okay. Keep
I,
talking and I'll step on you more.
Joel, you know what? Honestly, I'm used to it by now.
Well, go ahead and ask because we are running out of time. We're gonna have to go on a break here. So, Danny, I'll let you close out and you ask the last question.
Okay. So this is just a question that I just thought of. It's not the actual question I'm going to ask for my last question. So, haha, Joel. Um, when you guys go out on these outings and everything like that, you guys have a lot of fun. And what would you say one of the funniest stories you had with a group that you went out with was?
Well, it's always the same story. It's not a particular person in general, but it could be the sun's coming up and or going down for that matter. It could be 10 degrees out and you've been waiting all day and all day and all day to see an animal. Then finally the animal comes or the fish comes, and you've been kind of shooting the breeze all day and just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally the opportunity comes, and everybody's dealt with this in their life, but it's stage fright. It's, what do I do? It's buck fever. It's everybody's dealt with it. And once the opportunity comes, a lot of times guys will miss. A lot of times they'll get that buck fever, and it's always the same story, but it's always gets the best laugh. Is we've been waiting all day, freezing our tail off, waiting and waiting and waiting, and I blew it. And it doesn't matter the person. It's happened to me. It's happened to everybody, but everybody just laughs about it. It's the opportunity came, and I blew it.
Yeah, I remember I took a hunter's education course in high school with Mr. Barry, if you remember him, Joel.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah, I'll keep my comments to myself about. He was weird. He was a creeper, man.
Maybe to you. To me, he was actually a pretty good teacher. But anyway, I went through a hunter's education course, and the funny thing is, I've never been hunting. Um, I think if I did go hunting, I'd want to use a bow, but of course I'd have to practice with it first. Um, one of the things Joel was saying earlier is how I'm terrible about writing about myself on paper, but I can brag about myself all day. Um, I'm an amazing shot on a gun. All right, I can hit 10 out of 10 bullseye every time, but I'm not a fan of guns. Don't ask me why. But anyway, so the hunting aspect, yeah, I would that would be a good way to get out, enjoy yourself, get away from everything else. Um, so could you tell us about how one could actually apply to go to one of these outings?
Right. So in Colorado, every year you have to apply for a certain GMU, game management unit, and depending on the area, we'll either have landowners that have graciously donated their land for us to use, or they'll have vouchers, which is essentially a tag or a license for that particular unit. But if they were to go on our website, they were to they go to outdoorbuddies.org, fill out our membership information. We'll ask them what activities do they want to do. They want to volunteer. Do they want to hunt? Do they want to fish? Once they fill that out, they get it put into our pool of members, and from there we'll do, every year you have to fill out your tag by April the 1st. And once we have all the information, then we'll go into our placing system. And if they don't get placed the first year, they get a priority or a preference point for the next year. and so on, until they get to hunt or fish or whatever they like to do. More so on the hunting side with the preference points. The fishing outings, everybody comes, we have a great time. But for the hunting, they'll have to go through our placement process, and once they're placed, we'll let them know, and they need to, apply for that certain tag if that particular hunt requires that. And we'll help with any sort of lodging that we can. If it's not provided by the landowner, if it's not provided by us, we'll certainly help assist on where to stay, things of that nature. And once we get out there, there'll be a hunt coordinator that they'll link up with. It could be me, it could be our president, Larry Sanford, it could be any one of our members that are out there. And once they get there, we'll walk them through the whole step of the way.
That is awesome. And I believe you have an annual banquet coming up. Could you tell us about that real quick, and then end this off with your website and how we can donate and everything else?
Yeah, our banquet is April the 23rd. It's here in Colorado. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. As I spoke, we're an all-volunteer organization, so fundraising is crucial to our mission, and this is our biggest fundraiser of the year. Again, it's April 23rd here in Colorado. Anyone across the country can obviously contribute if they're to go to outdoorbuddies.org and click on the Contribute tab. They can do it directly there as well.
Awesome. And Danny, I will check with our boss with MBR and see if it's possible. Maybe if I can cut myself away, I can go remotely and do some interviews at that dinner and broadcast from there. I don't know the formalities, the background, like if there's internet and stuff like that, but Dustin, I will get with you offline about that once I get the go ahead, but I think that would be extra special.
Joe, we'd love to have you, and it's at the Omni Interlochen Resort in Broomfield. Beautiful place, and we'd love to have you. Even if you don't do interviews, we'd certainly love to have you and come enjoy the evening with us.
Awesome.
You sure you want everybody to see his face?
It's a lot better than yours, Terry Chipmunk.
Hey, I got a beard, all right? People respect the beard.
Whoa. You call that a beard? I call that a gravy stain.
Don't let me start on yours.
That's right. The one thing I didn't bring up was we have roughly 600 members in 40 states. So it's not just segmented to Colorado or Wyoming or the surrounding areas. We have a lot of members from all across the country. So,
well, that is awesome. Well, Dustin, thank you very much for being on our show. It was great to learn about it. Well, me and Joel were talking about this beforehand. We didn't know much about the organization. We do some research on it, but we don't get the full effect without talking to the people. So it's actually really awesome. This is a great nonprofit for you guys out there. Please look them up. Please donate. Give them some support. We're all here to help the veterans. So, Dustin, thank you once again.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. So that was Dustin Roby, Vice President of Outdoor Buddies.
This is MBR, saluting those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country.
Rock and roll!
We'll ride if you wanna rock and roll. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Rocking the troops.